Don't break with
Not
tradition.
necessarily the score, just the look of the scoreboard. I'm not,
Big comeback win for you guys. I mean, the offense just never dies.
Yeah, you look at the scoreboard the last 3 innings, to put up 6 runs against those 3 arms. I mean, those are quality arms. Our back was against the wall because their strength is in that bullpen, and it's in those back few guys that have had such a good year for them. So give our kids a lot of credit because it's not easy to score runs against those guys.
You talked a lot last
the walks tonight kind of did you guys in a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sure Coach Williams, and I was frustrated. The leadoff walks did. I mean, I think 3 leadoff walks scored and an error scored, the 1-out error. So 4 of the runs where you're giving them the base. And against good teams, I say it all the time, you can't give good teams an extra out or free base runners. And we did that for the first half of the game, but we really battled and took control the second half of the game.
What was this like for Hairston, you think?
He grew up in this state. I mean, he's just going to play hard. If you notice, he doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low. He's got to be the smallest 4-hole hitter in the country, when you think about it. But he hits there because he's going to move the ball. He's an RBI type of guy. And he's done a great job for us. Sometimes he hits 5th or 6th, but sometimes the way the lineup works out, he hits 4th. So, he competes.
Hey, Colin Lemon always seems to be in the middle of these things for you guys.
Well, because he's such a good athlete, he's such a good base runner, that if he doesn't start the game, there's still going to be a good chance he's going to finish the game. And it's now that you say that, it seems like he's crossed the plate many times as the game-winning run.
How hard is that ball there, the chopper, and he didn't get maybe a great jump on it, it was short. How hard is that to score on for him? And he made a pretty good slide.
Yeah, stumbling a little bit there. He hurt his ankle at Florida State. So, he didn't play the last 2 midweek games, and he probably went 3 games in a row where he didn't start. So I was bringing him back slowly through the weekend. And, because when you're a speed guy and that's taken away from you, you become average. And speed guys don't like to be average. That's their tool. And that was taken away from him for a week. So he's not moving at 100%, but he was going to compete, and he's such a good outfielder and a good defender, and that was a huge walk there.
Dan, never can talk about Devin's play, but how big was Brendan's before to get Colin moved over?
Brendan was frustrated because they pitched him well, and as each at-bat went on in the game, he hit the hard ground ball double play, and then he almost hit the jack. I mean, where was the wind when we needed it? And but that guy's numbers against lefties are like, I always call them video game numbers. I mean, lefties don't hit that guy. And that's why they made the move. They made all the right moves on the mound. I mean, obviously they know their pitching staff better than me, but that's knowing what I know about that pitching staff, that's what they had to do. And Corey Ray hits the big 2-run homer, and Rosenbaum hits the 2-out, 2-strike ball, and we do just enough.
Does Hairston bring it? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Devin was saying that he didn't want to be known as a defensive specialist when he came back this year. How did he change his approach at the plate?
Well, first you got to understand he's been a great hitter his whole life. And sometimes you get labeled that because you're a little guy. So they assume you're a little guy, and you play the most skilled position on the field other than maybe catcher, kind of an athletic position. So it's easy to be looked at as, he's just a defensive wizard. But he's always hit. I mean, he's hit his whole life. He's hit in the middle of his lineup. I mean, I've seen him bang balls in high school. And sometimes we get too caught up on freshman numbers where, you don't know the speed of the game. You don't know if you're in the lineup every day. We had him playing some second. We had him playing some short. He got a concussion. He was out of the lineup for a few weeks. And it's very easy to hit 200 and, like a lot of freshmen do. But as I keep telling everybody, he was the MVP of the regionals last year because of his offense just as much as his defense. And he had a good summer, and so we always felt he could hit all along. I'm just glad everybody else gets to see that he's able to hit.
Does he bring something in the clutch coming up to bat with the game on the line?
He's going to move the ball, and you trust him. I mean, that trust is a big word in our program. And, I felt good with him walking to the plate. And I was talking to Colin and our base runners really anticipating this ball's getting put in play. It's not always going to be a hit, but he's moving this ball. So we have to be ready to run the bases the right way and maybe even push the envelope if a ball doesn't leave the infield. I was instructing linemen, you got to be ready to score.
How often have you seen a 9-8 put out?
A 9-8 put
Off
out.
the right fielder,
Oh.
caught by the center fielder.
Yeah, that's an unbelievable catch, and the home run robbed was an unbelievable catch. I mean, our two games against them, I mean, we've come out on the winning end, but, if you're a baseball fan, I mean, those are exciting games. I mean, I know it stinks if you're Kentucky or a Kentucky fan, but if you love baseball, they weren't the prettiest games, but those were some exciting games.
What went into the decision to bring Kidston in?
He was one of the guys that didn't pitch last week in a 5-game week, and I know he was a little discouraged. But you gotta have an emergency guy, and if that Sunday game goes into extra innings, he was the freshest guy. I do that with position players. You can't play everybody. You always have to have an emergency guy in case something happens. And I know he was frustrated. He was chomping at the bit to get the ball, and being a senior and knowing what this rivalry means, I think his teammates are even happier than he is that it came out like that.
He talked about his struggles a minute ago, and I mean, how big can this be for confidence for him? Because you're going to need him probably.
Well, when you look at the last 72 hours, what Funkhauser did on Sunday and what Kidston did tonight, I mean, you need those guys. If those guys get going, those guys have College World Series experience, a lot of postseason experience. So our pitching staff, it's a real boost for our pitching staff if we get those two guys going.
You know that Hairston family well. I mean, they're over there with blue and red, and they're hugging and all that kind of thing, even after this tough game. What's that family like?
A lot of respect, classy people, intelligent people, successful people. I mean, those Dorian and Devin are going to be successful, not just in college, but in the future. So, I've enjoyed just getting to know them and have the utmost respect for that family.
And competitive?
There's no doubt that they're competitive. I mean, I've been impressed with Dorian. He's had a really nice career. He's had a lot of big hits for them, and then I'm glad that I get to coach Devin. I mean, I wanted to coach him something fierce, and I'm enjoying the opportunity to coach him.
How big is this a night like this for college baseball in Kentucky? I mean, both of you going at it, a great game and a big crowd, and it seemed like a perfect night.
It doesn't hurt. I mean, it brings excitement. It brings hope. It's what we need. It helps high school baseball and AAU baseball and the youth level. So the success that we've both had and the excitement that we've had over my 10 years here is really helping the state of baseball. I mean, I see it. I mean, I've seen it in my 10 years here, the growth and the excitement just at the young level and the AAU level, and it's good. It's excellent for the state.
Am I good?
Cool. All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate